Welcome to Future Ready Live, where we talk about topics that will help CPAs and CGMAs help their organizations prepare for change and transformation. I'm your host, Tom Hood, the EVP of Business Engagement and Growth at AICPA SEMA, the largest body of certified professional accountants in the world. Today, I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about the future of accounting and finance post-pandemic with a great friend of ours, mine, and one of the top futurists in the world, Daniel Burris. I'll be sharing findings from our recent Future Finance Initiative and asking Dan where we have to move faster to become even more relevant. So joining me today is Dan Burris, a leading futurist, strategic advisor, and disruptive innovation expert. One of the top 3 business gurus in highest demand, according to the New York Times. He's the author of 7 books, including bestsellers Flash Foresight and Techno Trends. His latest book, The Anticipatory Organization, Turn Disruption and Change into Opportunity and Advantage, is a hot new release. He's also the author of the Anticipatory Organization Accounting and Finance Edition, an online learning and transformation accelerator. Dan, say hello to everybody.
Hey, what a pleasure to be with you. I'm really excited about this.
So when we first met a little over 6 years ago, I saw you keynote a major accounting conference where you talked about your anticipatory organization model. And I watched the crowd, all accountants and CPAs, instantly apply your hard trends and opportunities framework, and they were more creative than I've ever seen when I've worked with them. So I want you to talk a little bit about your framework and why should finance and accounting professionals pay attention to this now, maybe more than ever?
Well, actually, more than ever is the case right now. And I think the reason that in that speech, as well as in hundreds of speeches, as well as in the work that I've done with you, the power of it is in certainty, because we live in an uncertain world, and uncertainty does not give you the confidence to make bold moves. It does not give you the ability to write a big check if you're a customer. When you're not confident, you hold back. You have a wait and see attitude. But when you have certainty, you do have the confidence to make bold moves. So what I've done is, and based on 40 years of research, there's no shortage of trends. But what I did is came up with a methodology to separate the wheat from the chaff. In other words, separating trends into either hard trends based on future facts that will happen. That lets you see disruption and change before it disrupts, before problems occur, allowing you to become what I call a positive disruptor, creating the transformations that need to happen to elevate your relevancy and accelerate growth. The other types of trends are soft trends based on assumptions. And by the way, I love both, because a beautiful part about a soft trend is if you don't like it, you can change it. It's based on an assumption. A hard trend, well, I can see disruption and change before it hits, giving me some big advantages. So I think the logic of that, it's so freeing. That's what got those accountants all writing down, because what I had them do, you might remember, is I had them write down one hard trend certainty they knew would happen and a related opportunity for them. And as you saw, they were able to do it. So it's very powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it was, that's when I immediately, I think we ran over and talked to you and set up a podcast, and then later got to work with you and say, how can we take this out to a bigger audience? So you're right. It's powerful. And I think you're right. Now, well, let's talk about now. So let's talk about the impact of COVID. And you did another session with us probably midway through this pandemic, and where you talked about all of the accelerated changes that were going on, like e-commerce accelerating by 10 years, the adoption of robotic process automation, AI, and machine learning accelerating 5 years through the pandemic. So how do you see all of this impacting finance and accounting, and what should we be thinking about to continue adding value and staying relevant?
Well, the cloud and AI and all of these technologies were already growing exponentially long before COVID. Yeah. And remember, exponential, 2 becomes 4 becomes 8, creates this giant graph. So before COVID, we were already in what I would officially call the holy cow phase. Uh, but then COVID hit. And what did COVID do? It forced everyone on the planet to change. Remember, humans don't like change. We'd rather just keep doing what we're doing. But we were forced to change. We locked down because we didn't know anything about this thing. We didn't have any cures. We didn't have anything. We didn't know about this virus. And we were forced to go digital. So banks, accounting firms, their clients all had to use the cloud more than ever before. We started buying things with e-commerce in ways we didn't do before because we weren't even, remember the streets were empty back in March and April. Hard to remember that far back, but it was they're empty streets.
Yeah.
And that meant we started using technology like crazy. And that drove over 20 major technologies between 5 and 10 years advances beyond exponential. So here's what that means. We have beyond exponential opportunity right now. See, you're looking at technology. You're looking at the wrong thing. Technology enables strategy. It enables game changers. So really, we have beyond exponential opportunity right now, but you will not see that opportunity if you don't have a way to blow away the fog, blow away the news, blow away the disruptions, and see what I call a mountain as solid as granite of opportunity for anyone in finance and accounting to not just change, but to transform your business processes and to grow in ways that you didn't really know was possible.
Yep, and that's exactly how we see people applying what you teach them. And I really like that. You know, the notion is that you're right. We often keep focusing on technology, but the reality is it is just an enabler, and we can take that to a whole nother degree. So I love the notion of exponential change equals exponential opportunity. So as always, thank you, Dan, for that. Next thing I want to talk about is now let's talk about skills because or some of the trends that are coming out of this. So we had a Future Finance Summit recently with CFOs, some of the top companies in the US, and they identified the top trends coming out of this pandemic as these 5: finding and retaining talent, maintaining culture in a hybrid distributed workforce, the acceleration of digital transformation, and the need for new competencies in the team, and finally, maintaining the well-being of their teams. So how do you see this anticipatory organization framework helping our audience to see further ahead and anticipate what's next?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, of course, we could cover these in more detail, but we only have so much time in this interview. But let me give you some examples for finding and retaining talent. One of the things is that I teach in the learning system is about future view. It's a fundamental principle. How your customers, how your employees view the future shapes how they act in the present. And how they act in the present will shape their future. In other words, your future view will determine the future you. So why do we have the great resignation? So many people leaving. Our firms are not managing the future view of their own employees. Because when there are people right now that may be thinking of leaving you. Why? Their future view of staying has changed. There may be some new people that are looking at working for you, but they see you protecting and defending the way it's always been in accounting and finance. And they're saying, well, that's not the future. That's the past. I want to find that I want to be employed by the future. So that's why being future ready, Tom, is so important, because we have to be representing a transformational change that can take this profession and the value that we bring to higher levels. And that's where, again, the things that I teach come into play. Another one that you mentioned, maintaining culture. Well, I don't want to just maintain. What I want to do is elevate culture. So I'm already changing that word in that they came up with. Maintaining is more of a window to our past. Elevating in the direction the future is going. And how do we know where the future is going? Well, we already have, again, a playbook of that. As a matter of fact, I know that at the end we're going to talk about, you could go to Burrus.com and download a free list of the 25 hard trends of technology that are shaping the future. Take a look and you'll see unbelievable opportunities. Remember, when you look at technology, don't just look at the tool. Think about how you can apply it to do what you might have thought was impossible. A couple of other ones: accelerating digital transformation. We're all trying to transform. Well, being anticipatory versus being reactionary, which is what I'm teaching people how to do using all of these methodologies, is really about a transformation accelerator, because culture and people is what slow transformation and change down, because we have a protect and defend mindset versus an embrace and extend mindset. And when you have certainty, you can embrace and extend. When you're uncertain, you protect and defend. So this is about, I'm sure, I know our leaders want to transform, but you've got to get your organization to do it. And again, it's not about the tools, it's about the mindset. Really what I've done, Tom, as you know, with the Anticipatory Organization for Accounting and Finance, is provide a mindset, a tool set, and a skill set that goes way beyond hard trends and soft trends. And, even a team's well-being. Once again, if everything is uncertain, you're not going to have a lot of well-being. So you need an anchor, and that's where that comes into play. Now, I could cover more of these, but we only have so much time. I'll let you ask me some more questions.
Yeah, I love that idea of saying we're going to elevate our culture instead of maintain it. I think that's brilliant. And your point, we had research right before the pandemic that we did with KPMG that showed that mindset is probably the most important ingredient in successful transformation, along with skill set. Those two make up like 63% of the success factor. So Dan, you're spot on as always, but I think that idea of future view is more important than ever, and you just made it kind of real in that notion. Now, let's talk about
one other quick one, Tom. I want to jump in on real quick, just as a little tag to that, and that is change and change initiatives often last a long time and don't always go well. And a lot of people just think, well, people just don't like change. Well, transformation is different than change. Actually, transformation is more powerful and easier than change. It takes less time than change. But most of your, and I'm talking about the audience watching this right now, most of your transformation efforts are really just change efforts because you don't know the difference. And in the learning system, one of the keys is teaching people how to truly communicate versus just inform, how to truly collaborate instead of just cooperate, how to truly transform instead of just change, how to truly innovate instead of just imitate. And when you actually learn what the differences are and you've got tools and a mindset to apply it, you can rapidly grow.
Yep. Love that. All right. So now let's go to the other big one, which is skill sets. And we looked at the top skills needed to thrive in what we call this next normal. And I want you to kind of give us your perspective on a couple of these, and especially notice agile and anticipatory. By the way, agile, finance teams are the lowest in agile in any of the other traditional corporate areas like marketing, technology, et cetera. And anticipatory has been on our top 5 for a while, but right now agile shot up in this thing. And I know you've got a good perspective on that, but here they are: strategic and critical thinking, communication and storytelling, number 2, number 3, leadership and sense making, number 4, business acumen, 5 is agile mindset and processes. 6 is integration and collaboration, to your point, another one. And then anticipation, serving evolving needs. Give us your perspectives on those skill sets.
Yeah, well, you definitely need to be agile, but you have to understand agility is a reactive strategy. Anybody in sports knows that. The faster you can react to a disruption after it disrupts, the more agile you are, the better. Or the faster you can solve a problem after it happens, the better. So agility is important, but it's only half of the strategy coin, and it's a reactive half. Anticipatory is the other side: how to anticipate disruptions before they disrupt, how to identify problems before you have them so you can pre-solve them. You need to have both. You need to have that balance, because there are things you can't predict. Good, you better be agile. But there's an amazing amount that you can predict and then take action on. And that's, of course, where that balance comes up. One other thing, and that is, think of agility as playing defense and anticipatory as playing offense. And if you look at the last 20 winners of Super Bowls, you'll see that the vast majority of winners had a better offense. They were better at being anticipatory.
Yeah,
Just a little thought there.
I like it. I like it.
There's others, of course, in there too. Strategic thinking, critical thinking. Well, again, it's hard to be strategic and critical if you haven't found certainty. And really what I'm doing in this learning system is there's a whole thing on transforming how you plan, another one transforming how you innovate, including everyday innovation that everyone can do in a firm. It's transforming culture. Again, what we're doing is elevating culture to not just being reactionary. You already got that down. I think it's how to be anticipatory. And then the last one is how to actually transform results, which is giving you tools and resources and a mindset so that something you might have thought could take 5 years can take 5 months, or maybe only 5 days. Again, it's about eliminating barriers. So there's much to becoming anticipatory beyond just the hard trend, soft trend.
Yeah, there's so much more. I mean, I know one of my favorites is the take your biggest problem and skip it. We've used that quite a bit. You just got a whole bunch of, again, good tools that you can apply. But again, the common language when you take a team and work through it together accelerates everything. Also, that common they say all transformation is linguistics. I think William Everett quoted that, but that's a big part of it. We notice, right? Common language accelerates your whole deal. That's part of your anticipatory culture.
Exactly. I mean, really what people say is, I never had a way of expressing it, or I kind of thought that way, but I couldn't share it with others, or I thought only I thought that way. And this, again, gives us something that's very powerful. It's a common strategic language, number one. And number two, how you define something will determine your ability to compete and your success. So again, we think we're good at collaborating. Probably you're good at cooperating. You don't know the difference. So one of the things that I do is I have, as you know, a whole bunch of definitions giving you, here is how we pull it. So if everyone in the organization has a clear understanding of what transformation means, a simple, clear one, you're more likely to be transforming versus changing. If we all know what communicating is versus just informing, you know what, we'll be better communicators. So that's where that common language, and again, the whole idea here is transformation accelerators. How can we accelerate all of our transformation efforts? So common language, a common mindset, an anticipatory mindset versus just a crisis management reactive mindset, and having the confidence to make bold moves.
Yep, that's exactly it. Any final thoughts for our audience in terms of helping them get to this future faster?
Yes, number one, we have more opportunity right now than we've ever had on planet Earth since you've been around. And you need some tools to be able to see what that opportunity is and have the confidence to take action on them, number one. Number two, by having a wait and see attitude and moving too slowly, you can be like a cab driver versus, Uber. In other words, the future is there for us to redefine and reinvent. It's there for us to see, but you have to have some binoculars. And what I've done is I found a way to give you the binoculars so that you can see farther out. And then you can see, oh, what? Wow, look at that. And when you take a look at some of the CEOs and some of the leaders of the firms that we have worked with together, Tom, with Anticipatory. I was just talking with one the other day that said, wow, we're at 93% growth this year, and it's organic thanks to being anticipatory, quote, unquote. Whoa. I mean, think about what that said, and that's an accounting firm. And I could give you others like that. So this is really a results-driven learning system that is worth the investment, because there's an investment in time and effort. But again, here's what I would say. What if you don't? What if you stay reactionary? What if you count on just being agile, reactive? In a world of accelerating change, where opportunity and transformational change is beyond exponential, just reacting quickly is not going to be good enough anymore. You need to learn how to anticipate.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, we actually refer to that as the risk of not investing, right? We all
Yeah,
those
exactly. What if you don't?
talk about the risk of the return on assets or return on investment. We say, what's the risk of not investing? So, yeah, absolutely. So, Dan, as always, this has been awesome having you on Future Ready Live. And for everyone out there, you can get more about the Anticipatory Organization Finance and Accounting Edition at www.blionline.org/AO. You can go to Dan's website, www.burrus.com, and that's where we'll post in the chat how to get those 25 hard trends that are going on. Twitter and Facebook, Dan's on Twitter at Daniel Burris, all one word, and follow him on LinkedIn. He's one of those top influencers and writes prolifically, all good stuff. So with that, Dan, thank you for joining me. And for everyone out there, don't miss other Future Ready Live sessions. We'll be back on LinkedIn the first and third Tuesday of every month at noon Eastern. See you then.